proof there was only one human race. In reality, anyone who doesn't believe there is one human race is racist. And there's only one thing in the world that shows there's one human race, and that's the Bible. So we're not going to talk about who's a Christian, who's a true Christian or not, but the Bible shows only one human race. And that it came from Adam and Eve, and that it came from Noah's family after the flood, and that we got different ethnicities, but one human race. The ethnicity came from after the flood near Turkey. The ship landed on Turkey, and then they lived in Babel, I think it's near Babylonian, in Iraq, not too far from Turkey. So you had Noah and his 3 sons, and population had grown by then from his family. So everybody came from Noah's family after the flood. But then they tried to build a tower. It's called the Tower of Babel, and they're thinking they could get to heaven on their own power. And God was displeased with that, and he changed the language. And so we got different ethnicities based on God changing the language. And Shem, Ham, and Japheth's sons all moved to different parts of the earth according to language. And so there's science that can show how skin got darker if you live near the equator for all those years, right? So technically, and so the proof of one human race is that one of the proofs minus, well, here's the other small proofs. The fact that we're born, the fact that we die, the fact that we have mothers and fathers, that's how we get here, is evidence that the Adam and Eve story is true. And I'm going to go as far as to say it appears that anything that opposes the Adam and Eve story, and I don't want to call it a theory. People talk about the creation theory, but it's a history. It's a written history, and it shows lineage that takes us all the way there. So it's not actually, there's evidence that the story is true, but anything that opposes that would be a theory that maybe something else happened. Maybe it happened this way, and it's a theory that's trying to disprove one human race, and really for the purpose of disproving God ultimately. But a lot of people buy into the theory that they're presented to disprove God and the existence of God, and a lot of people turn it into a racist theory by saying we didn't all come from Adam and Eve, and we came from other ways. So, but technically those theories would be racist. Anything that tries to compete with the fact that we all came from Adam and Eve, according to historical facts, they're trying to they don't accept that we're one human race. They don't want to accept that we're the one human race, whether it's because they want to reject God, or whether it's because they don't like being one human race because they want to be prejudiced. So, but that's the facts. I mean, that's the case. That's the most plain thing we can see from everything we can see. So the evidence, but here's the proof of one human race, some big proof, and that's the flood of Noah. There's no way we could have evolved since approximately 10,000. I don't know if it's 8, or I haven't studied that in a while, that number, but it's between 8 and we'll say 12,000 years ago, just to be safe. But if we're going to round it off to 10,000, say it's 10,000 years ago, that's not enough time to evolve. That disproves the evolution theory. But also, the fact that we're all born and we all die by the billions, still, that hasn't changed any. We're all born and we all die. That's proof that the Adam and Eve story is true. So anyway, if anything that ever disagrees with one human race means you don't believe in racism. If you believe in one human race, you don't believe in racism. You believe we're one human race. We're all brothers and sisters and cousins from Adam and Eve, and from Noah's family after the flood. All right? So we moved to different parts of the earth by language. And your skin darkens if you live close to the equator for that couple thousand years before Christ. And so we didn't intermingle and intermix that much back then because we hadn't learned each other's languages yet. And so we're more capable today of doing that, but you see how difficult it is. And I'll make a side point there. They're trying to take freedom of speech by mixing people with languages that can't understand each other. It's just another way of trying to get rid of freedom of speech because we can't understand each other. And it's hard to learn another language if you don't learn it when you're young, unless you're some kind of genius, right? So it should be rules for that. If you're not trying to create chaos, there should be rules that people should learn the language of a country they move to. That should be any country. Okay. And now I understand if there's special business that somebody has to be in another country and they don't know the language, that's one thing. But trying to come to a country and take over with another language and stuff like that, that's the goal of somebody who doesn't want a free country. And a lot of nations in the world are against the American freedom, and the Democrats have never been for America's freedom. But I don't want to go. They're the party of slavery. They lost the Civil War, and the Republicans allowed them to stay and try to unite with us, and they just never have wanted that. So that's the bottom line reality. And so should immigrants only be Republican immigrants? Probably. Well, there's evidence that shows that part of the reason they keep bringing illegal immigrants is because the whole country is voting against the Democrat Party. So it's the Democrat Party trying to bring voters that are anti-American through illegal immigration, and they're putting them in sanctuary cities where they have a high, what you call, they're the big cities that count a lot towards the total vote. They count more than smaller areas. And so they're trying to have sanctuary cities that do that. And this is an epiphany to me today. It's my opinion that I think that one of the things they're trying to do is just bring Democrat voters that are anti-American. And that's not fair. That's not the right way to do it. And that's not if they were trying to do it the legal route, that wouldn't be their number one goal. That might be, they try to switch the system to where they could do that and tell people to lie or whatever, lie their way in. But they know they can't be as effective because most legal immigrants end up being Republican because they're people who likes to follow respectful laws to respect their neighbors. And so I'm not saying every illegal immigrant knows the scheme, but it's a Democrat Party leader scheme and media scheme. It's a Democrat media scheme, anti-American. It's an anti-American scheme. So, so that, looking for security and people who support freedom is not racist. It's not racist to support freedom and want people to come to our country that want freedom, moral freedom, not false freedom, not these changed definitions of freedom to destroy the family system, freedom for all those kind of things. Not that kind of, that's not freedom. That ends up being slavery. See, so that's a trick. Now, freedom, we can argue that the government shouldn't be involved in all, say for people who are like the same sex, gay marriage, we should leave the government out of it totally, but the government shouldn't lie and say that gay marriage, that same-sex marriage is marriage and dispute natural marriage. So natural marriage shouldn't be attacked by fake laws that the government makes and ends up throwing people who are not gay in jail because they won't marry people at a gay wedding and stuff like that, or they won't attend a gay wedding or make a cake for a same-sex wedding because they don't want to acknowledge that that's a real marriage. But if you don't, you can have more flexibility and let people do what they want in their own privacy, but to try to change the laws, which it's a law that specifically the purpose of it, one of the biggest purposes is to take away fatherhood and motherhood responsibility for your own children. And so we should have laws that support natural fatherhood and natural motherhood because those are true laws. Those are reality, and they expect natural fathers and mothers to be responsible, and then you have exceptions for divorce and all that, but you certainly shouldn't take that goal away. Okay, but anyway, so it's just I'm showing what's really racist is when people don't believe in one human race, and they're lying, and they usually end up calling the ones that do that falsifying of racism. They usually call Christians racist, but Christians are the only ones, if they're a real Christian, they're the only ones that believe in the one human race theory in full from the Bible, from God, Adam and Eve. And then Christ rose from the dead and proved his power and substantiated the Bible. He proved the Bible to be correct. Well, that's all I have for today. I could go longer, but I'm running out of time. So just think about it. and realize when you're being lied to and tricked, and don't fall for false accusations of racism. Now, people can be apprehensive with other folks because, or not even like to be around other folks because of a culture. That's culture behavior. Could be a culture that thinks stealing's okay, or violence, or talking angrily, or being bullyish. People should stay away from that stuff. That's not safe to be around. So there's nothing wrong with that. And that's, but to hold a grudge and not forgive, and not hope and not want to teach is tough. But it's hard to teach people when you got people telling you they don't want to hear it, and we don't want to converse. We don't want to come to even ground. We don't want to make peace. So, and that's usually on the Democrat side that doesn't want to do that. They don't want to come halfway. They don't want to see your point. They don't give you a chance to make your point and try to understand it at all. And then, so they promote bigotry and stereotyping. I'm out of time. Have a good day.